Hi everyone, this is Gabrielle, owner of MyLovi. We are an online gift shop, but we also specialize in handcrafts items that we make here in our studio, plus all the yumminess that comes out of our licensed kitchen. Today, I'm really excited to share with you a wonderful and delicious recipe for apple pie filling. Now, this filling is a little different because we are canning it, which gives you the opportunity to save it for the off season when you might want to have an apple pie or an apple crisp. Especially here in the Northeast, a lot of us go to the pick your own orchards and we come back with gobs and gobs of apples. And then we say, oh my God, what are we going to do with them all? So here is an opportunity to lock in all that freshness and have a pie whenever you do want it. So let's go down to the kitchen. I'll show you how easy and delicious this recipe is. But before we do that, let's go down to the orchard and I will share with you all the apples that we will be using in this particular recipe. So check it out and we'll see you in a sec. Hi everyone, it's Gabrielle again, and we're down in our apple orchard. We have a small orchard, but it's mostly used for all the baked goods and jams and jellies that we do. Right now, you're looking at our red Rome beauties. These are what we use for baking, and we will be using these particular varieties in our apple pie filling that I'll be showing you when we get back into the kitchen. We do have four varieties in of all the apples that we have. We have the Cortlands, we have the Macintosh, these red Rome beauties, and we do have a new variety called an Arkansas Black. That one is a relatively new tree to our grouping here, but it'll be a couple of years before we'll be able to use that particular apple because we just planted it. The Cortlands and the Macs we've already made into jams and jellies and stuff, so we only had the red rum beauties, but these are excellent baking apple. If you're in a different area, find the best baking apple in your area to use in an apple pie filling because it's firm enough and will hold up really, really well. But the Arkansas Black, which we hope to get in a couple of years, and these red rum beauties are the perfect apple baking apple. So yummy, yummy. So let's go into the kitchen and I will get you started on how to make this fabulous and very easy to do canned apple pie filling. Hi everyone, it's Gabrielle. We're back in the kitchen now working on our delicious apple pie filling that we are actually canning. You can probably see the canner behind us. I usually get all my pots and stuff like that ready to go, but I want to at least give you an idea of what the simple ingredients are. As you can see, I have a big pot of all those yummy apples that we picked earlier. These are our red Rome beauties that we have in there. I typically slice them a little bit thicker, especially when you're canning. I mean, they're a firm apple, but I like to, once you get through the canning process, you want them to at least be still firmer before you even get them into a pie or whatever finished dish you're going to use them with. So I will post the recipe on the description below with a link to it. Most likely to be on our blog post, but you'll see the whole process in there. Really, it's very simple. You have the apples, we have sugar. This recipe, you can use straight white sugar, you can use straight brown sugar, or you can do a combination of both. So depending on your flavor profile that you like. There's also lemon juice that you'll need in there, your typical spices, whichever you like to use in an apple pie, whether it's just cinnamon or cinnamon nutmeg or any other kind of things. But the key is the starch that you use. And a lot of times you'll see recipes using cornstarch. Cornstarch is not a very shelf stable starch to use in a finished canned product, especially when you then want to heat it again, either in a pie or a crisp. So I always like to use clear gel. Now there's two different kinds. There is the instant clear gel, which a lot of times you'll use in maybe a pie that you're making fresh right then and there. It's not being heated, stored, or whatever. You're just going to mix it together and put it actually in a pie, bake it, eat it that same day or the next day. The one you want to use for canning is, they call it the cook method. So therefore, you can cook it when you're making I call it the gravy or the juice of the part of the product that you're canning. But then when you can it, even months later, when you actually make a pie, you can take it out and heat it again, and it doesn't deteriorate, break down, lose any of its thickness that you would have in a canned or baked product. So you definitely want to use a clear gel. That's the brand it's called, but you don't want to use the instant. You want to use they call it the cooked version. You can buy it online. A lot of times you might be able to find it in some specialty shops. I got mine online, and it will last me a while, and I bake a lot of apples. So you probably can get it in smaller sizes, or if you have friends you want to share it with. So those are the main ingredients you want to use. Usually I make them in quart jars. This recipe is for quarts. The recipe that I'll be posting is for 3-quart jars, but you can always make it for more. So if you have a lot of apples, which I have, you can make it for 6 or 9 or whatever it may be. And you just keep doing it. The big difference is this has to be in a water bath canning process. It can't just be just left out and then the lids will pop or whatever because they're hot. You definitely have to can them. It isn't a short canning process. It is at least 20 to 25 minutes. And depending on where you are in elevation, I will put that in the recipe also. Every time you go up like 1,000 feet or more, you might have to add another 5 minutes, but it will all be in the recipes. You usually find that also when you're doing regular canning for like jams and jellies. There's usually an altitude difference times that you'll have to add. But let's get going. I have all the ingredients here to get going. I typically like to at least do mostly brown sugar, so I'll probably be more heavy on the brown sugar versus the white sugar. It's just the flavor profile I like a little bit more. But like I say, the recipe will let you interchange and your spices as however you really enjoy an apple pie. And if you just want to be light on the spices, then no matter what you use it for, you can add the spices later when you're doing your finished product. Typically, if you can it and everything works fine, you should be able to have this kept in a cool, dark place. Maybe you have a cellar that is a little bit cooler. It doesn't have to be frozen down there, but cooler and no direct sunlight. And they usually last between 18 and 24 months before it starts not deteriorating, but losing its freshness. So you do have, if you do get a bumper crop, you do have plenty of time. Once you can these fillings, you can use them for quite a long time, and they're in your pantry. So it's going, and I'll show you what the filling looks like before we can it.
Add ingredients and whisk until combined and simmer over low heat for about 5 minutes or until mixture starts to thicken. Add them to your mason jar that's already filled with apples and leave 3/4 to 1 inch headroom. Carefully lower the jars into the hot water canner. Set a timer for 25 minutes. You might have to adjust it depending on your location. When the time is up, remove the jars from the boiling water canner. Place the jars onto a heat-proof surface and do not touch for 24 hours. Make sure the jars are sealed and store in a cool, dry place for a year and up to 2 years.